Can I assume then that you didn't really have a plan going into into those 3 months of writing and recording? What about what?
Oh, sorry.
No, about what the album should sound like, or?
I think the list that we made of the songs that we wanted to work on was a little bit all over the place, but that's completely classic Warpaint, so there's nothing new there. I think the one thing we were all aligned with together was we wanted to make a more upbeat album. We wanted to make a more upbeat album, speed up those BPMs, something a little bit more dancey.
How come?
I think it's time. It was time. You know, if you look at all of the albums we've made, as far as tempo goes, it's been for the most part pretty much 97 to like 103, with a song or two that's maybe 109. I don't know. It's very much the same groove. The songs would be different, but it was this groove, which is a great groove. Love it. I just think it was time to change it up a little bit.
Well, this might be, I might be wrong in this, but the way I see it, because all of you had the ability to go into your own projects and kind of get the more introspective things out. Maybe that's more conducive to slower music. So I was thinking maybe because you had that outlet, now there's a little bit more upbeat, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think before we took a break, we've been having a conversation for a while. I mean, there's lots of things that we talked about. Oh, we should make a live album, or let's make, a live dance album. Or there's all kinds of ideas that we're always having, and I think more than anything, when we go on tour and we play our records live, we tend to speed them up. We tend to have our live show has more energy than the recordings. So
Sure.
I think already we were like, let's take our live show and try and put that on a record. We've never really done that. We've never captured our live show or our live sound so much on a record.
Did you change the way you recorded then?
We definitely had. Not really. We didn't change the way we recorded. I guess the only thing that would be something that we hadn't done before was just recording and writing and recording at the same time. A lot of the songs were written in the studio, whereas in the past we had plenty of time to develop and write the songs.
Right.
Change them 900 times before we recorded them. So this time around, I think what we just ended up doing more of was not all being in the studio at the same time and multi-tracking, overdubbing, writing parts without all four of us being involved in that process. Giving each other space to come up with our own parts on the song.
Well, that was one thing I wrote down, because obviously it's the four of you, and then everybody has an opinion of how a song should sound. And so is it difficult then to kind of let go and say, okay, let's go your way? Or
I mean, there's always compromise, which is fine. I think if there was too much compromise, we probably wouldn't be in a band with each other. For the most part, we are, always coming from a similar place. Might not be the exact place, but similar. And yeah, I think this time around, as the years grow, as time goes on and we keep playing with each other and growing as friends, as bandmates, as musicians, I think it's important to pick your battles, and also to trust that if your bandmate has an idea and they're really backing it, and you might not agree, that just to trust that, hey, they're coming from a place that is important to them. They're seeing something that I'm not quite seeing at the moment, but you know what? Maybe I'll see it in 2 days. Maybe I'll see it in a week. Maybe I'll see it in an hour, or maybe I'll see it in a year. Who knows? But looking back, that always happens.
And is there then something on the record where you kind of had to fight for it, or kind of had to convince the others of what it was, and then?
Didn't have to fight for, but I was definitely an advocate for having more voices on songs, more harmonies, more voices singing together. We always talk about doing that, doing more of that. We do it in our live show, but often on the recordings, it's usually just one person coming up with the harmonies, or doubling themselves, or doing whatnot. We did a lot more of that this time around, and I'm happy with it. There's a song called Whiteout where we're doing a 3-part harmony the whole time, and that wasn't necessarily going to happen, and pushed for it, and I'm glad it did, because it sounds, I think it sounds great. I think it sounds beautiful when we all sing together. I think it's pretty original and a unique thing that we've got going, and I think we should utilize that more. See, any other things? I love guitar music. I always have. I love electronic music as well. But yes, maybe songs that we're just gonna have, more electronics on it, more synths, SPDS pad. I was definitely like, put some guitar in there, put guitar in there, put guitar in there, and if it was electronic drums, add some live drums. I appreciate the live sound of music very much, as do they, but I definitely was, pushing for that.
and now then, because I think you've played a couple of shows, did you play the new material?
Well, you're playing 2 songs at the moment, and we start tour on September 19th.
Because do you notice things about the new music, how it's being perceived, and also how it is playing it live?
I think people are just excited, happy to hear new material, because it's been a minute. I know that when I go to shows and see bands that I like and they're playing new material, it's exciting. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, I'm not noticing, like, maybe with the new song, it's because it's a single and it's what people have heard.
Right.
They get pretty excited about that. And it's nice too, because it's a slightly different version than what we have on the album. There's more things on the album. Obviously, there's only 4 of us, so we're not playing with a ton of backing tracks or anything.
Sure.
So it's a little bit more stripped down and sounds live, but I think it's going over pretty well.
Is that a difficult process to go from the studio or the recorded versions to the live versions, to translate that?
Sometimes it can. If you're attached to the recording, you want to do a good job representing it live. You might be attached to certain things, certain sounds that aren't necessarily going to be played live.
Sure.
I like to practice the song as bare bones as possible, get that sounding tight, and also getting it to where you love the way that it sounds, bare bones in a way, and then start adding things and seeing what's it missing. Sometimes we surprise ourselves. Not even sometimes, all the time we surprise ourselves. We'll play it and it sounds fine. Sometimes it sounds better than the recordings.
Okay. Finally then, the album's called Heads Up. When in the process did that album title pop up?
Well, it's a song on the album, and we were having trouble coming up with a name for the album. No, actually we don't. We don't usually have trouble. That someone will come up with a name, and usually everyone, will agree. It hasn't been too hard in the past coming up with names of the albums. This time around, it was a little we didn't really know what to call it.
Okay.
We were toying with a few names, and they were already taken, which was disappointing.
Can you give me one example?
By Your Side.
Okay.
Which is also a song title. What had happened is we were trying to come up with names for the album, and we didn't. We were hitting walls. So then, why don't we look at our song titles? Usually, we don't. It doesn't take us as long to come up with song titles, and usually we love the names of our song titles, and that's because we're not really thinking too deeply about it. And it's most times just like a point of reference for. They're always usually just working titles, and we plan to change them. Then you get attached to them, and you don't change them. So we started going down the list of the song titles, and there were a couple. By Your Side was already taken, and Heads Up was one we went to, and I thought it sounded. Well, By Your Side was also had a very positive connotation. Heads Up, same thing. I don't know, it just felt like it fit. Rolls off the tongue nicely.
Does the album feel more positive than what you have done previously?
I think so. Yeah, a little bit. I do. think it's a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say real. I think it's maybe a little bit more representative of where we are now.
Sure.
And less of where we want to be, or less of where we've been. It's just where we are now. So I guess that's what I have to say about that.
Okay.
This is funny.
I think my time's up, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for talking with me.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
You too.